locals in Kido concern over proposed mine. Eastern Highlands Partners Education Department. And remembering the last fuzzy Wuzzy angel. Welcome, this is Sunday's News. I'm Charmaine Poriambe. A local ward councillor from Kido village in Central Province has raised concerns over a proposed limestone mining project in the village. Though the mine will benefit the people and the country economically, the ward councillor is concerned with the negative impacts it may have on the environment and livelihood. She said there are ongoing discussions over the development of the proposed mine.
Speaking to EMTV News recently, Ward Councillor Kaya Rose Podiaup says almost the whole island of Kido is rich in limestone, and a proposal to mine limestone has raised concerns among the villagers. Considering the economic benefits that comes with the mine, many have agreed to go with the project, while some are against it.
So people are now between 50-50. The 50% agree, the 50% don't. They're still deciding on whether the limestone mining should go ahead or not. The fact of the matter is because people need the money. They need the money to be financially independent. We sort of wave to that side.
Active discussions about this limestone project started 2 years ago with a special mining lease awarded to a company. According to the ward councillor, there are negotiations between the developer and landowner representatives. However, their concern is with the negative impacts the mine may have on their livelihood. And with the island already being affected by climate change and rising sea level, the development of the mine can cause more environmental pollution as well as social problems.
Climate change has already eaten away the village, as you have witnessed. What more is it going to create? The dust pollution, the noise pollution, the living of the people will be much, much different. Maybe people will be independent financially, but our social life will be so destructive.
The ward councillor also raised concerns over royalty payments, relocation plans for the villages, and how the mine will be developed, and they are seeking clarity on these issues.
The negotiations are going on well, but it's clarity of the issue. They should be able to come, regularly communicate all these issues to us. Financial, who's going to finance the company, how is it going to be done?
Rayon Lakingu National, EMTV News.
An environment advocate says people must not rush to develop their natural resources. Wenceslaus Mangun told EMTV News short-term benefits have severe and painful effects. Mr. Mangun says there are development partners, most are NGOs, who want to partner and develop the vast ecosystem, but in a more environmentally friendly way. He made this call following the proposed sand mining along a 50 square kilometer stretch of coastline in Medang, where leatherback turtles call it home.
They want to come and help us. So, can shortcut lo paini misi money. Because this road block lo shortcut ya, and we got pen blame ya. Na pen blong ya, and say stop long the time. So no can, whole man Mary lo sungil bar area, don't rush. I'm warning you not to rush. Because pen blow this rush blue ya, by tumbuna blue na. Now yet, diet by you film. You like some good blah blongen, you come. Come and see me, I'll show you the way. You got waste up.
More proper hand washing facilities are being installed in Goroka district as part of a pilot project aimed at promoting healthy living and accessibility to clean water supply. Implemented by UNICEF and Oxfam, the targeted audience is 200 communities, 50 schools and 9 health facilities. During the Global Hand Washing Day, which is celebrated annually on October 15th, students in Kama Adventist School in Goroka Urban LLG witnessed the launching of the hand washing station.
Under the Clean Pillar Community Project, the British High Commissioner to PNG, Keith Scott, arrived in Goroka to officiate at various projects built through community initiatives. Scott's visit to Eastern Highlands signifies a joint effort by the British government through the European Union or UK Aid in teaming up with Oxfam and UNICEF to achieve the national government's WASH programme.
First of all, it's a real partnership. Today, it's not just British High Commission, UK government representatives. You have UNICEF, you've got Oxfam, you've got the school, yourselves, your provincial authorities, district authorities, health authorities. And by working together, that's how we can contain this disease. And indeed anything else in terms of development of PNG.
Karma Adventist School becomes the 15th school out of the targeted 50 schools in Eastern and Western Highlands provinces to participate in this WASH program. The students at Karma, together with the British High Commissioner to PNG, joined thousands of students nationwide on the 15th of October to commemorate the Global Hand Washing Day.
And we always have a problem with water all the time. And every time when the water pressure is very low, we have only half a day of class and then we send the kids away. But when this TTU and the UNICEF, when they come and put up this facility and the tank that is at the gate, I know that it's going to be a very great help to the school.
The approach by Karma Adventist School is in line with the National Quality Standards Framework for schools in PNG. The national government's aim is to provide clean water and proper sanitation facilities in schools and teach students to practice safe hygiene.
If you have water, you have less. You prevent yourself from having many other diseases that is born in water to affect your life. So it is very important.
While implementers of such projects have a targeted audience to reach, they rely on the national government to sustain these facilities. In this case, the responsibility falls on the Goroka District Development Authority to ensure these facilities are sustained throughout the years. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
A 15-year-old girl in Goroka, Eastern Highlands Province, has tested positive for coronavirus disease or COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. This brings to 12 the total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Eastern Highlands Province and 581 for Papua New Guinea. The girl is a contact of a previously identified COVID-19 case. To date, 27,003 people in PNG have been tested for coronavirus. Additional 281 samples are pending laboratory results. The country's death toll from COVID-19 remains at 7, with 14 provinces with confirmed COVID-19 cases. Eastern Highlands Province is the second province to partner the Education Department for the decentralization of powers. A MOU was signed between Governor Peter Numu and Education Minister Joseph Yopiopi recently in Goroka. This will see the construction state-of-the-art library, archives and resource center for Eastern Highlands.
A new dawn for Eastern Highlands Province as the Education Department set foot in the capital to embrace the partnership. With education a key priority for the province, the department wants to work with provincial education boards for provinces to overhaul the education system. One area is proper library and archive system or a resource center for provinces.
The department now has changed its focus. We want to partner with all the provinces so that we can work together to improve the system of education for the betterment of our children, our future generations. That's one of the reasons why we are here. We are looking more at decentralizing some of the functions from Waigani down to the provinces.
Eastern Highlands is one of the top provinces with relatively high achievements in the education sector. Governor Numu says though many schools lack proper library facilities, the partnership is a way forward. He says the MOU is key to build learning facilities.
Display library infrastructure now when we set him up, partnership with them, Education Department, Library and Archives, Director General, Minister, we must talk about big something, about big impact project in Central Province.
The new library and archives building or resource centre will be built at the cost of 8 million kina. The Eastern Highlands provincial government is allocating 3 million kina for that purpose. The provincial education director is focused to improve learning and ensure students benefit.
Decentralization of government tuition fee subsidy, or we call them formally TFF, is the way forward because partnership promotes ownership to achieve quality results.
Meanwhile, the Education Minister encouraged all provinces to partner with the department to open up this opportunity. He says members of parliament will be encouraged to partner with such understanding to improve capacity in districts and provinces.
I will be writing to every members of parliament to ensure that their respective districts must establish a resource center so that they can have food and library together. That will be easier for them to manage.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Education Minister Joseph Yopi is urging the mass population to embark in flexible open distance education learning or FODE. Speaking in Eastern Highlands, Minister Yopi appealed to the provincial government to invest in FODE. He says unlike the normal education system, FODE is an opportunity for a second chance in education.
FODE is the way to go. You can study at your own timing. The good thing about FODE is that you don't need aids. There's no limit in aids. You can be a married man or an old man like me, white grass finish. You can sit down and study at your own timing and your own pace. But when you complete your grade 12, you have the equal opportunity to apply to go into teachers' colleges or universities.
One of the few remaining fuzzy Wuzzy angel of the country has passed on recently. Late Nepe Kumanyal is one of the last fuzzy Wuzzy angel who died at the age of 117. A funeral program is planned for the late Kumanyal at Sioni Kami Memorial Church in the nation's capital tomorrow. The funeral program will begin at 1 p.m. and will see representatives from the Department of Tourism, Arts and Culture in attendance to show their respect. Viewing of his body begins at 3:15 p.m., including a gun salute. Late Kumanyal's casket will depart Sioni Kami Memorial Church to the funeral home at 4 p.m. Stories making headlines overseas after the break. Welcome back to the news. Turning abroad, droving cattle every day for months at a time is not what you call an easy day's work, but there's an increase in number of people seeking employment in the profession. COVID-19 has seen increased demand, but that's not the only change the male-dominated industry is seeing.
Tiring work and not for the faint-hearted, but that's exactly what Carla Cairn loves about her job.
5's the normal time we get out every morning and you normally finish on dark.
She's not alone. Drover Bill Little says women are not only becoming more common in the droving industry, they're often better at it.
At that younger age, teenagers, they seem to be able to settle better than boys. Boys are thinking about partying and whatever else too much.
He's been a drover for 40 years and says women are made for the job.
They're inclined to be a little cleaner and tidier and look after the animals more than the boys. You know, they're not as bad-tempered.
Carla's one of 2 girls in Bill's droving team, making the 3 months more than 500-kilometre journey from Clermont in central Queensland south to Taroom. They walk the cattle, an alternative to trucking them.
I don't know if it's because of COVID, but there's quite a few, it's a lot easier to get people to work with the droving, whereas, years gone by we've really struggled.
While some industries across Australia and the world have ground to a halt during COVID-19, agriculture continues to be mostly unaffected, attracting young people who are looking for employment and job security.
I think a lot of people at the moment would be more inclined to go in the agricultural industry. Like, it hasn't really affected us. I've worked at a couple other places since it started and it doesn't really affect you when you're out doing this.
Loretta Wallace at the National Farmers Federation says more young people want to work in the farming sector.
Of course, COVID-19 has stopped, say, school leavers from going on that traditional gap year overseas. So logically, young people are looking for experiences elsewhere.
With reduced university fees for agriculture degrees and government incentives to work in the bush, it could be a trend here to stay.
The one thing we all need is food, and we'll continue to need that, which is at the heart of agriculture. And I think job security has to be the logical driver for young people.
Agriculture is still a male-dominated profession, with women making up 46% of the farming sector. But Carla says she's up for the challenge.
A lot of the boys will try and do the harder jobs and that for you. Like when you're working with them, you really got to try hold your own, I've found. I reckon I go all right with it.
Proving girls are just as good as the boys.
For many temporary visa holders, the pandemic has seen them cut off from government support and in desperate need of food and accommodation. Multicultural services in central Victoria have seen a 75% increase in calls for help. But the lack of government support hasn't stopped many refugees and migrants from giving back to the community.
Like many in this global pandemic, Richard Augustine and Ria Selvaraj have taken to YouTube to share traditional recipes.
So we're just using our smartphone and we're using a mic stand as a camera tripod. Richard is very good at that.
We're learning lots of, still learning every week.
They're seeking asylum from Malaysia, and for the past 3 years they've been living in Bendigo on temporary stay visas, meaning they can't work or access any ongoing government assistance.
There's no work rights, don't have any payment from the government.
And many more temporary visa holders across the country, like those on temporary work and spouse visas and international students, are now in the same situation due to the COVID restrictions.
So they don't get JobKeeper or JobSeeker if their work changes.
In a statement, the federal government says it has provided some short-term funding to community organisations to help them support people on temporary visas. But as Victoria's restrictions stretch on, the need for that assistance is increasing. Loddon Campaspe Multicultural Services has seen a 75% increase in calls for help during the pandemic.
And then just on Thursday, I got a call from somebody who's sleeping in their car because they've already lost their home and nobody can help them.
Richard and Ria are reliant on the Bendigo community for all of their accommodation and food. They're grateful and are hoping their leap into the online culinary world will help give something back in return.
The community in the situation that they can't share things, so we thought we want to share our cooking to our friends and family.
They've been able to make the connection with the wider community, and that has really been a beautiful thing for the community, but also for them and their situation.
They're bringing plenty to the table.
When Christchurch suffered its earthquake, Frank Film recorded the process in a compelling documentary called When a City Falls. Almost 10 years on since the February quake, the production company has released its follow-up. It's all about the recovery and called When a City Rises.
You guys are taking a calculated risk going in today.
This is the story of a rebuild of the city of Christchurch.
When you're mid-disaster, the heroic phase. Second phase is known as the honeymoon phase.
We got alongside each other and we helped each other.
What comes next is difficult.
Gerard Smythe's latest film documents just that. Two significant narratives running side by side.
We thought, in common to us all, is the central city. So how do you rebuild a central city? And secondly, how do the people in that city recover?
It's a 90-minute journey through the lows.
They did a scorched earth policy, getting rid of whole blocks.
And ends on a high as Christchurch people step in, bringing life back to the centre of the city.
Holy shit, it's changed. I've been away one day and I've come back. Wow.
Just stop and listen for a moment. Can you hear that? It's the sound of people.
Very proud. This is something for Christchurch.
After going through almost 1,000 hours of footage, Smythe himself has some ideas on what's needed to make the city a success.
We need people living in the heart of the city, and they aren't boomers like me. They've got to be young families. We've got to find a way of bringing young people into the city and then we'll be buzzing, because everything's there and waiting.
A documentary full of hope, Christchurch rising from the rubble for the world to see.
Police have arrested 6 people in early morning raids for allegedly concealing and moving funds, essentially laundering money for a gang. Police say $5 million worth of luxury vehicles, boats, houses and cash were in the raid.
The lifestyles of the rich and not so famous. A latest model Mercedes-Benz, a $450,000 Lamborghini, a boat and 3 bikes, owned by an alleged money laundering syndicate with links to gang crime.
We largely took them by surprise. The team across Auckland have had a very early start, and we were certainly out of bed before they were.
The group of 6 woke to a police raid at their 3 properties. Assets worth $5 million in total were seized, and the group were arrested for their alleged role moving and concealing funds for gangs.
Largely the money was injected into the financial networks within New Zealand, but we were seeing a significant amount of money sent overseas to China.
The group of 4 men and 2 women are aged from 29 to 65 years old, and they're all facing charges related to money laundering offences. They'll appear before the district courts in the coming days, but if any of them are found guilty, they could face up to 7 years in prison. Dubbed Operation Brookings, police have been investigating the syndicate for more than a year.
These were professional facilitators of organised crime. Today we're dealing a significant blow to not only them as individuals but also the professional facilitation or the services that they offer organised crime groups around New Zealand.
These status symbols were used to signify their wealth, but they were also a giveaway to police that big money was passing hands.
A man who once served as the Maori King's closest advisor has avoided being jailed for fraud, stealing more than $100,000. It was an elaborate scheme which saw him use the money to buy himself a stomach stapling operation.
Standing in court today, this was a fall from grace Rangi Whakaruru thought would never happen. Once serving as King Tuhetia's closest aide, he even spoke on his behalf while he was in hospital in 2016.
He's come into this with his head high and his heart very stout, and confidence is very high.
But today, Whakaruru sat in the Auckland District Court no longer connected to royalty. In 2015, Whakaruru worked for the Urarangi Trust, which supported the King's office. The group applied for tens of thousands of dollars from Waikato Tainui for the King's medical care. But that's not where it went. Instead, Whakaruru used it to pay for his own stomach staple.
Mr. Whakaruru has effectively stolen from the iwi, and he has then tried unsuccessfully to cover his tracks.
The elaborate scheme involved getting the hospital to change invoice details from the surgery. In all, over a 1-year period, Whakaruru stole $110,000. Defence lawyers for Whakaruru argue because he had no previous convictions and he had a wish to undertake rehabilitation, he should receive a sentence of home detention. Supporters of Whakaruru also wrote to the court asking for mercy. The judge agreed with the Serious Fraud Office that he had abused his power. She said the iwi are the victims and the reputation of the King's office had been compromised. For elders like Tuku Morgan, a tough sentence would be the only deterrent.
The only fitting sentence for this man is jail time.
Despite that, Judge Aikens said there was no point jailing Whakaruru.
It makes no sense to send, in this case, a 57-year-old person to jail in circumstances where they have never offended in the past and are unlikely to come before the courts again.
Rangi Whakaruru was sentenced to 12 months home detention and 300 hours community service. He was also ordered to pay back all the money that he stole.
When we return, we bring you a closer look. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Tonight, we take a closer look at Enga's introduction of Provincial Day celebrations into their calendar and the reason behind establishing the day. Provinces in PNG may have different agendas of celebrating Provincial Days. For Enga, it was set on the 2nd of October this year to mark the 47th years of being a province of its own. Enga Governor Sir Peter Ipatas says the province has a reason to celebrate annually because of Enga's contribution to the development of PNG through human resource.
Before self-government in 1973, Enga was known as Wabek District, an outpost of Western Highlands under the Australian administration of Papua and New Guinea. Situated at the end of the Highlands Highway and the Highlands region, it was one of the least developed districts of PNG.
Who would have thought that you would have a glass house in Enga? They were saying, oh, this guy is crazy or something. No, there's vision, we persisted with it. You're still there. And one more is coming, another more will come too.
When the Enga-speaking region of the Western Highlands separated and became a province, government services were not felt. People like Sete Abal and few like-minded Engan leaders built the province with limited budget. When Governor Sir Peter Ipatas was first elected in 1997, he had a vision to one day see the children of Enga either run the country or return to their villages and help develop the community. His vision was put into reality by investing more in education and making it a priority sector for development by subsidizing school fees and building tertiary institutions. In the last 23 years, Enga has produced a large number of human resources to work in both public and private sectors, in turn contributing to the development of PNG.
That, by doing that at a provincial level, we believe that we can contribute at a national level too. And that is why we're now, from paying school fee subsidies, now we're seeing that now we have to do better. And that is improving on quality education.
Today, Enga is one of the leading provinces in PNG in terms of education and is beginning to see an increase in tourism activities as well as better health, roads and infrastructure. Notable development changes have been happening in the last 23 years, but for Governor Ipatas, he wants his people to change their mindsets and embrace change. The provincial government aims to make Enga the education and health hub of the country in future. They've partnered with higher learning institutions and donor agencies to provide the best quality education to attract students. During the Enga Provincial Day celebrations, Australian High Commissioner to PNG John Philp officially opened the 10 million kina Australian funded 4-level lecture hall for the University of Goroka Enga campus.
Education remains extremely important for all of us. It is something we value. It's something that is our future, not just of ourselves, but of our children and our grandchildren. This is a real value that we share with the government of Enga Province.
For these reasons, Sir Peter said Enga people have a reason to celebrate their provincial day to appreciate how far they've come in terms of development through education.
Trukai Sports is next. All the details after the break. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Good night and welcome to Trukai Sports. The Civic Pride bid for the Digital Cup competition on Saturday hosted a fundraising dinner. Their bid is gaining momentum and yesterday saw huge support by the business community and also from their members of parliament and the PNG RFL. It was a night of pride for those that attended the fundraising dinner for the Civic Pride Digicel Cup bid. The bid is for a unified representation in the semi-professional competition by both East and West Civic. The bid is gaining momentum with an impressive array of support shown with the turnout yesterday. Business houses, prominent men and women of the Civic region and other individuals filled the dining halls at the Gateway Hotel. Members of Parliament from the Civic region and also parliamentarians from other provinces and districts as well attended to show their support. Even a board director of the PNG RFL, Graham Osborne, and the chairman, Sandy Saka, attended as well. Also present were former Papua New Guinea Kumuls. Bradley Simon, a former player with the Egmark Rabaul Gurias, is the project manager for the Civic Pride bid and says it is not easy to push for a team in the #1 domestic rugby league competition in Papua New Guinea, but he is passionate about his task.
People, plenty line a surprise. A big mountain to much local up to actually get a Civic team into the Digicel Cup. It's not easy. But something that I've always believed in is when you're passionate, when you have that passion for something and you want to do it, you will still do it.
The bid may have surfaced into the known last year, but Bradley says behind the scenes it was hard work and commitment since 2015 after he had left the Gurias.
And when Governor asked me for Digicel Cup, look, Team Galo Digicel Cup, I thought, thank you, that's my job. I grabbed it with both hands because I've been working for this for the last six years, since 2015. Working behind the scene. There was a lot of leaders watching, plenty line, oh look. I kept my head down, I kept working.
Governor of East Civic Alan Bird was impressed with Bradley for his innovation in growing the sport of rugby league in his own district of Maprik and saw the immediate potential of a Civic team in the Digicel Cup.
2016, when I heard that they were playing rugby in Maprik, and I couldn't believe it. So I had to go up and have a look. And I saw these young boys. They were all in school, all not shaved yet. They were very young. And I was really impressed with the way they played. And I was like, hey, mipla soka provincia. But to see talent up there in the middle of nowhere, I began to think about what could be possible.
With the right people in check, Bird says the younger generation of Civics have impressed him that they can help each other to progress and with best practices can yield positive outcomes.
The thing I found very encouraging was that the rugby league guys in East Civic are actually working with the rugby union guys together. And I thought that was a very important message to our young people, that we should find ways to work together. And to see young people doing that really encouraged me. In fact, when they started, I never got involved until today. This was run entirely by young people.
And you're watching Trukai Sports. More stories after the break.
Trukai Sports.
And welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Papua New Guinea National Rugby League competition says that this year's Intercity Cup competition was a challenge under the growing threat by the COVID-19 pandemic. But despite the challenges, the competition had set precedents in the best practices.
We were able to provide.
The managers of the Digicel Cup competition, Papua New Guinea National Rugby League competition, PNG NRLC, have stated that it has been a learning curve for the competition during a COVID-19 global pandemic, which tested the semi-professional competition. Credit was given to the individual franchises and their administration for ensuring the competition was played in line with COVID-19 protocols.
That layout, thanks out to all the franchises. I think they've done extremely well. Writing the documents and saying it was one thing, but actually making it work was where the real challenge was, and all the franchises have done exceptionally well. 71 games, 4 months, no virus case. Some with crowd, some without crowd. Not only in Port Moresby and Lae, we went to Kimbe, we went to Kokopo, we went to Mins, but still we maintain those standards.
Manager of PNG NRLC Stanley Hondina says that it was a chance for the competition to stamp its mark when the pandemic had forced a lockdown on other sports competitions across the globe.
We said this is an opportunity to make a mark. When others are not playing, this is an opportunity to make our competition get stronger and better. When other comps are not playing and the world is watching, we were the second to get off the ground after NRL. We said an opportunity like this will never come again. Let's make the most of it. After 71 weeks of game, 4 months, we sit here proud that I think we've achieved what we wanted. We did what we wanted to do as a board, as the PNG RFL, and as the administration of the game.
Chairman of the PNG NRLC, Adrian Chow, said that the competition had set the precedence for a competition under the COVID-19 protocols in the country and introduced also best practices.
Through our running of the competition, I think we've led the way forward. We've shown others how to adapt to this new normal. And by doing so, we were able to help the government avoid a total lockdown. That would have had even more detrimental effects on society and on business activity.
And that's Trukai Sports, the weather forecast for the next 24 hours when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Moniplus, with you always.
The weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby mostly fine apart from a few rain drizzles. Daru fine, partly cloudy. Kerema light drizzles, then cloudy. Alotau partly cloudy with a morning shower or two. And Popondetta cloudy with drizzles at times. In the Mumasa region, lay a few rain drizzles, then cloudy. Medang occasional thundery showers, then fine. Wewak and Vanimo occasional rain showers. In the New Guinea Islands, Lorengau a few thundery showers, then fine cloudy. Kavieng, Buka, Kokopo and Rabaul a shower or two, then fine. Kimbe a few showers, drizzles, then fine, partly cloudy morning. In the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Gorka and Kundiawa, rain showers or drizzles tonight, then morning fog. Mendi and Wabeg, rain showers tonight, then morning fog. Final strong wind warning for the coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru, through Gulf of Papua to Hood Point, including Coral Sea. Strong east to southeast winds of 22 to 30 knots are expected to ease within the next 3 to 6 hours, causing no more rough seas. All small crafts and boats are advised to take necessary precautions before going out to sea in the warning areas. Focus for small crafts for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru, to Kiwai Islands, to Kerema to Yule Island, to Hood Point, to Samurai Island, seas 2.0 to 2.5 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, with waters of Samurai Island to East Cape, to Cape Vogel, through Huon Gulf to Fincher Fen, with waters of Fincher Fen through Vitias, Dampier Straits to Siasi, Long Islands with waters of Long Island to Karkar Island, to Wewak to Aitape, to the northern PNG Indonesian border with waters of Manus and its western group of islands with waters of New Island to Bougainville And with waters of East and West New Britain, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Ocean focus for PNG areas. The Coral Seas moderate to rough with southeast winds at 20 to 30 knots. The Solomon Seas slight to moderate with southeast winds at 10 to 20 knots. Bismarck Seas slight with southeast to southwest winds at 10 to 15 knots. And the Pacific Ocean seas slight with east to southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
That's the way it is. Sunday, the 18th of October 2020. From all of us here at EMTV, pleasant viewing. Be safe. Bye for now.